Foreign Affairs Minister of Venezuela, Ivan Hill, was received in Beijing by his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi for an official meeting. This June 5th, the world celebrates the Environment Day, which in 2024 focuses on land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. Worker unions in Nigeria suspended for a week a nationwide strike that had paralyzed airport operations and other basic services for several days in demand of an increase in the minimum wage. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Venezuela, Ivan Hill, was welcomed in Beijing by his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi for an official meeting. The Venezuelan Foreign Minister ratified the alliance of peace and respect between both countries, as well as the promotion of joint projects in the field of economic and social development, where both foreign ministers will fulfill a broad agenda of evaluation and follow-up of the agreements that pursue the prosperity of China and Venezuela. The Venezuelan delegation arrived in Beijing with the objective of giving continuity to the work undertaken by President Nicolás Maduro in September 2023 with the consolidation of strategic cooperation with China. The International Economic Forum kicked off in the Russian city of St. Petersburg, focusing on the transition to a multipolar model of world economy. It is one of the world's largest economic forums, which annually brings together political, business, academic, and other leaders to discuss the most relevant economic issues in emerging markets and the world. The event has been held annually since 1997, and since 2005, it has been sponsored by the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, who also confirmed his participation in this year's edition that will last until June 8th. Over 18,000 people from 139 countries and territories will attend the event in spite of the thousands of Western sanctions illegally imposed on Russia. On Wednesday, the Russian-Venezuelan session of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum was held at the Convention and Exhibition Center. In this end, speakers at the business dialogue discussed the prospects for cooperation between the two countries in the fields of investment, tourism, and education. This way, both nations were represented by Venezuelan Ambassador to Russia, Jesus Rafael Salazar Velázquez, and on the Russian side, the Director of the Latin American Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Alexander Stentinin, and the permanent representative of the Republic of Crimea to the President of the Russian Federation, Georgy Muradov. In India, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi claimed on Tuesday his party's electoral victory, which will ensure him a third term at the head of the country. The lower house held the elections in 7 stages from April 19th to June 1st, where the Prime Minister's party won 240 of the 543 seats in Parliament. Counting the votes of the parties that make up the ruling National Democratic Alliance, the political bloc accumulated a total of 292 seats, which allows Modi to continue in office. On the other hand, the historic formation of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty won 99 seats, a marked improvement over the 52 it fell to in 2019. And on Wednesday at the South Korea-Africa 2024 summit, attended by delegations from 48 African countries, Kenya's President William Ruto urged rich countries to do more to unlock Africa's full potential, from better financing initiatives to encouraging technology transfers and funding clean energy transitions.
There is need for greater investment in the continent of Africa to unlock African potential, not necessarily to benefit Africa alone. We can use the renewable energy assets we have, the mineral resources we have, the human capital we have in our African continent to decarbonize not just our production and consumption, but global consumption and global production.
And this June 5th, the world celebrates the Environment Day. The day brings together millions of people from across over 150 countries around the globe, engaging them in the effort to protect and restore the Earth. The United Nations designated the International Day, which has been led by the organization's Environment Program since its inception in 1973. The event aims to celebrate environmental action and the power of governments, businesses, and individuals to create a more sustainable world. In 2024, World Environment Day is being hosted by Saudi Arabia with a focus on land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian population continues to be a victim of the genocide of the Israeli occupation. With more details, our correspondent in the area, Huda Hekasi.
During the whole day of yesterday was reported more than 76 Gazans dead in the central governorate of Gaza Strip. And all this death, besides of joining the injured, we're speaking about more than 300 injured. We're speaking about the only hospital of active in the Gaza Strip. The rest of them are totally out of service because of the lack of fuel, because of the lack of gas, because of the lack of medical supplies and medicines, and is the only hospital that is active currently. But sadly, this hospital has a short amount of this service that the Gazan desperately need, and the director of the hospital has assured of Martyrs of Al-Aqsa, said that they're trying to take care of the needs that are more urgent need because they can lose their life. They're trying to attend those first, and then the people that have some less injured, and they have shared also that even they don't have a place to install this whole amount of wounded. We're saying that the most part of them has to lay down in the floor. They don't find a place where to sit or even to rest after this medical treatment, due that the hospital is assuring that daily is receiving from 800 to 1,000 patients, and the capacity of the hospital is only 250 to 300, and now it's receiving the triple of the amount of patients that they can handle. It's also reported an incursion of the military mechanisms in Rafah. At this time, the official radio has assured that is in the Alauda area, and they're carrying on strikes in the Brazilian neighborhood and the Saudi neighborhood as well. The governor of Rafah has no hospital left that is active. The hospitals are out of services from the moment of the first time of the incursion. The last one active, the American hospital, has to go out of service. With this, we're saying, and we're seeing how the main objectives of the Israeli army is to put down or collapse the medical services in the Gaza Strip, to put out of all the hospitals and medical centers. And this is another crime that Israel is committing against the Gaza Strip. By the other hand, Marcela, to speak about the news of the Prime Minister of the cabinet, Benjamin Netanyahu, today a delegation of Israel, beside of a Qatar delegation and the president of the CIA, arrived to the capital of Qatar, Doha, to hold meetings, security meetings, with the objective to be able to put an agreement or to see the possibilities to sign a truce and hostage interchange that proposed Joe Biden approximately 4 days ago. But however, according to the last publications, there's difference and contradictions between what has been published according to the United States administration. They're waiting for the Hamas answer, but however, Hamas has assured that so far hasn't received an official and written way any proposal. So this far there is contradictions, and the United States is assuring that Israel is not accepted yet, and then say that it does accept it because it was written by themselves. High Representative of Israel assured that they didn't write the proposal, that is not the one that is being posed by the United States Joe Biden, and once over the negotiation. There is an uncertainty point. We don't know clearly what is happening. And by the other hand, Egypt today sent an invitation to the Palestinian factions and the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the movement of jihad, Islamic Jihad, arrived today to have held meetings between the other representative. Will be dual meetings in Qatar and in Cairo through the negotiations. So we're saying that are being precise hours in any time could be announced. Maybe if it could be revival the negotiations. So far it's not been accepted, and this round of negotiations can be cancelled as well.
In parallel to the genocide committed by Israel in Gaza, over 100 Jewish extremists stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City on Wednesday, carrying Israeli flags and chanting provocative songs in celebration of Flag Day. Under heavy police protection, the extremists stormed the Muslim holy site, while it is also a Jewish holy place since 1967 agreement. Worship at the site is reserved for Muslims, while Jews can only enter as visitors and pray at the nearby Wailing Wall. Rabbis and officials, including the far-right minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, also took part in the demonstration. Flag Day celebrates the end of the 1967 war, which gave way to the illegal occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu assured on Wednesday that Israel is ready for a very intensive operation on the border with Lebanon. Since October, the Israeli occupation forces have been exchanging fire with the Hezbollah resistance movement, as the Lebanese movement has been supporting the Palestinian cause in the face of the Tel Aviv's genocide in Gaza. On the other hand, local media announced an increase in the number of Israeli attacks on Lebanese territory over the past week, while the Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich have called for urgent measures to restore security in northern Israel. Humanitarian organizations report that the Israeli occupation has used white phosphorus munitions to attack at least 17 towns in southern Lebanon. Since October 2023, Israel has endangered, targeted, and displaced civilians in Lebanon by bombarding towns in the south of the country with white phosphorus and another explosive device. An international human rights organization warned that white phosphorus is a chemical substance used in artillery shells, bombs, and missiles, highly dangerous that can cause fire, serious injuries, and death. The use of this substance is a violation of human rights and international law, which is why its indiscriminate use is considered an illegal act by human rights organizations. In other news, different social movements in Colombia took to the streets as a form of protest to demand the elimination of paramilitarism in the South American country. In the framework of the National Mobilization for Life and Permanence in the Territories, the demonstrators denounced a wave of paramilitary violence against the popular communities of the country and the forced displacement of its inhabitants. In this regard, the trade union organization Uso Frente Obrero joined days of protest in rejection of the paramilitary advance in several departments of Colombia. In this sense, the Congress of the Peoples and diverse organizations detailed that the mobilizations are not against the government of Gustavo Petro, but they do urge the state to take actions to solve the causes of the socio-political, environmental, and armed conflict in the country. On Monday, the president of Ecuador, Daniel Noboa, disclosed his decision to temporarily transfer the venues of the police and armed forces to the port city of Manta in Guayaquil following the assassination of alternate state legislators Cristian Nieto and his wife. In this context, on Tuesday, Ecuador Navy Marines used armored tanks and conducted body search on citizens halted at a checkpoint in Manta. The murder of Nieto, who belonged to the left-wing citizen revolution movement, amounts to the rising death toll of politicians since the 2023 elections. So far in 2024, the police has seized 121 tons, with authorities reporting on 47 homicides per 100,000 people in 2023. In this regard, an Ecuador Navy Marine described what they are doing in Manta, Guayaquil.
As you can see, the number of hired killings has increased in the province, especially those that exist here in the province. There has also been an increase in common crime, and what we are trying to do with this type of patrol is to counteract these illegal acts that are occurring more frequently.
A resident of the city shared his view on the current situation.
This city is quiet, modest and dynamic, but lately, due to the situation in Ecuador, they are looking for places that are calm, like this one, to come and cause trouble. These gangs are looking for quiet cities to start committing crimes.
We now have a fun short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly, share the link to reach more people, constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Workers' unions in Nigeria on Wednesday suspended for a week a nationwide strike that had paralyzed airport operations and other basic services for several days. The measure comes after the beginning of talks between the Nigerian Congress of Labor and trade union organizations and the government in search of an agreement that responds to the demands of the workers who are asking for a 16-fold increase in the minimum wage. In this sense, the labor organizations warn that if the objective demands are not met, they will resume the strike without notice. In the meantime, Nigerian workers and people continue to support the strike and the initiative of the Nigerian Labor Congress.
The Nigerian Labor Congress are actually exercising their right because poor masses are suffering. Things are very expensive, so they need to come up with this so as to government to address some issues and to make everyone comfortable.
I'm not disappointed at what Labour is doing. We encourage them to do more. They have been sitting around the table will not end. We are really not happy with the government, how it's treating the populace. What Labour is asking is not too much. At all, it's not too much.
Burkina Faso, the government strengthens cooperative relations with Russia during the official visit of Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov as part of his tour around Africa. Burkinese Minister Karomoko Jean-Marie Traoré and his Russian counterpart Lavrov agreed in a meeting to reinforce military cooperation in the Sahel region, given the presence of French and U.S. troops. The ministers also analyzed the security threats of the area amid the current geopolitics. The encounter highlights the proximity between both nations, also evidenced by the attendance of President Ibrahim Traoré to the Russia-Africa Summit in the city of St. Petersburg in July 2023. In Ethiopia, the African Union hosts the 16th ordinary session of the Specialized Technical Committee on Defense, Security and Safety to address emerging challenges on the continent. The meeting aims at sharing the ideas and reinforcing collective efforts to approach security challenges affecting the 55 African Union member states. The encounter also serves as a platform to provide updates in the progress of the implementation of previous committee decisions. The official gathering was preceded by the 19th ordinary session of the African Chiefs of Defense Staff and Heads of Safety and Security Services, which also focused on the threats faced by the continent. In other news, the French justice banned on Wednesday the sale of the Mexican 1986 World Cup Golden Ball won by Diego Maradona and ordered its seizure until the dispute over the trophy's whereabouts gets resolved. The Argentine football star's trophy was due to be auctioned in France on Friday in what could have been a record sale for a sporting object. With the decision, the Versailles Court of Appeal upheld the request of Maradona's heirs, who claimed the object, which reappeared in 2016 after nearly 3 decades, was lost after it got stolen from a bank safe in Italy in 1989. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.